You clicked on the Boar of Babylon's review of Top Gun. Also noted on the review that I have ADHD and it's going to be from an ADHD perspective. I'll explain that. Sometimes these movies get really redundant for me and I don't know how people watch them. And I want to marry just watching it and then looking at the Wikipedia to kind of fill in the holes of what was going on. Because you know what? If you drift off for a few seconds during a movie, you might miss some important information. And the redundancy and the boredom that it causes, it's just, I drift off. All right, you might be drifting off. All right, let's get down to business. This is the way I took that movie. The theme of this movie was like, don't think, just do. I kept repeating that, and that's kind of bad advice, but it's also good advice sometimes. Anyway, here's what happens in the movie. There's this old guy who had a lot of plastic surgery, and he's a Navy test pilot who's kind of a jerk, and he gets told to be a teacher after he disobeys his commanding officer, rather than being fired because his friend Jim Morrison decided to help him out. And he's his former nemesis. So this old guy meets all these young people, one of whom is a kid of this guy he used to know back in the day and his wife who's dead. And their mission was to bomb an unnamed foreign country's unsanctioned uranium enrichment plant. I had to look that up in Wikipedia because I didn't really get all that from the movie. I know they had to bomb something, but all it looked like to me is they were ripping off the end of Star Wars where they had to get this like little tiny space, the bullet in the little space. Remember the Star Wars number 4, number 1, The New Hope? The one that was out in the 1977, that one with the Death Star? That's all I could think about when I was watching this movie. Like, it's like Star Wars. Little tiny hole. You gotta go by really fast. It's gonna be bad guys shooting at you. Oh yeah, and these people all have these, like, names like Cyclone, Warlock, Hangman, Rooster, Goose, Phoenix, Fanboy, and Bob. That was probably the most interesting writing that I saw in the whole movie. Oh yeah, then there's the part where, like, you know, they might die, like, it was really dangerous, so they might die, and I kept thinking it was going to end like that movie with Bruce Willis, where he goes off into space and he gives his life so the rest of the world could die. I forget what it's called. I want to say Independence Day. I'll look it up when I'm putting pictures to this thing. Hi, me in the future putting pictures to this thing. So, the next part is, these two young guys don't get along. And the old guy reunites with this ex, and they like just goon at each other like they're in middle school. And then next thing they know, they're doing it, and she doesn't want her daughter to know, so he has to go out the window. And then of course she sees him jumping out of her mom's room, and she knows they just bumped uglies. And then she says to him, "Don't hurt my mom again." Like, what? All right, I'm going to get to this in a second. Now, there's some subplot against this dead lady who doesn't want her kid to fly, so the old guy tries to prevent him from advancing in the Navy, and the kid hates her for it, but he's like doing a favor to the mother. So the old guy finally meets up with the Lizard King, or Jim Morrison, and he has throat cancer now and communicates by typing and tells the guy, like, it's going to be fine that you're teaching the team. In a very awkwardly acted scene. Now, I said I was going to say something more about this. The acting was horrible, as was the script. If you don't agree with me, that's fine. You're obviously under 50 or you haven't watched as many movies as I have. So I'm not going to go on about that. A few days later, Jim Morrison dies in a bathtub, and the old man in the sea attends his funeral. With the lizard man gone, Cyclops turns into a total dick, and he tells the old guy that he can't be a teacher anymore because your buddy, Jim Morrison, is gone. But since he's a jerk, the old guy makes an unauthorized flight, proving that, like, he is great. And then the Cyclops guy is like, oh, you know what? You are great. So you can be the leader of the team, and you can even be the leader of all these. You don't even have to be the teacher. You can just lead all these young people. Anyway, there's a bunch of, like, flying and explosions and redundant planes and flying and, you know, bad guys are shooting lots of, like, equipment and stuff, and I just couldn't pay attention. It just was redundant to me, and I was just like, let's get to something I could focus on. Anyway, they almost die, but miraculously they make it through several miracles, and the old guy risks his life to save the young guy, and they thought the old guy died, but the young guy went against orders, and he went back to look for the old guy, so they're both like, I saved your life. They eject from their planes, and somehow they meet each other, and then they're fine, like, they're not even, like, traumatized by crashing and all that, and they say, find each other somehow, and they have this, like, ego fight about, like, I saved your life, and then they run, and then they, like, reenact another scene from Star Wars where, like, I forget what Star Wars it is, but, like, the Millennium Falcon is really old, but somehow they have to use it to escape, and it's really old, and they're like, is this thing even gonna work? They totally do that. They find this old plane, I don't even know what kind, don't care. And they get in this old plane. They're like, this thing's really old. It's like I was like watching it like this is Star Wars. Is anyone seeing this but me? But I was watching it alone in my room. Anyway, one of the final scenes is another Star Wars reenactment when they get back and everybody's like cheering them on, like, oh, you guys are great. You're both alive, blah, 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 blah. So then the end, the last scene, the old guy and the girlfriend kissed by an expensive car. It looks like a car advertisement. And then they go on another plane ride, like plane again. Okay, plane flying again. The bag of chips. These are actually really good. They're almond nut chips. Keep bumping into them. But I'm at the end of this. So anyway, they get in their plane ride, and then the kid with the dead mother and all that kind of stuff that just saved the day with the old guy. He realizes the old guy isn't so bad, and he just looking at like some pictures and collages of photos of his parents and the guy, and everything's just happy ending. And what's the thing at the end? Everybody lives happily ever after. Unlike the audience, particularly me, because it sucks so bad. I just couldn't get over how bad it sucked that I was like, I'm going to make a video. And then I'm like, no, it sucks so bad, I'm not going to make a video. And then I ended up talking about it to somebody, and then I ended up, you know what? I said to myself, I'm bored, and there's really nothing I want to watch on streaming sites, so I'm going to make this video about my boring opinion on Top Gun. So that's the end of my opinion. And I don't have a closing thing to say at the end of my videos because this channel's new. I guess it's I hope I didn't bore you too much, but you did click on my name, so you were warned. I don't think that's a good closing line. It's a little harsh, but that's all I got.